Hello, our friends, Evolutionary, Hearts Home, EEARTS family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So Cindy and I went and did about an hour or so of mantras and Qigong, and in order to ground ourselves, get ourselves into the proper frequency before doing a video, it's a great practice.
It is an excellent practice, especially for things we're going through in this time.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure you are subscribed to all three channels, as each of them is unique, although sometimes I feel like putting something in places it doesn't necessarily fit, just to wake some people up maybe. And yesterday we were talking about this particular, it's not even really a mantra, it's a phrase, but yes, it can be used as a mantra, and it's beautiful. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to their happiness. Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. So we, there was comments, and somebody said, "Oh, I'd like to see that." Again, we put all the mantras up on Hearts Home. There are a lot of mantras on EEARTS. There's still a mantra list over there, a playlist. And there's one or two over on Evolutionary as well. Again, this is a great one to bring about that sense of compassion and to send that sense of compassion out into the world. Now, when we say English, when we say it in English, it's not as impactful as when we do it in Sanskrit. And it's not any sort of bias. It's the resonance of the sounds. Again, English has come about during a dark age, so it's come about with a certain purpose in mind. It's fascinating too, because if you listen to somebody doing an old English conversation, you probably won't even understand hardly anything. If anything, you'll be like, what the heck language is that? Yeah, Old English is so far away from modern English, and modern English is so far away from what we get in, say, the gold and silver and bronze ages. It's all about, unfortunately, control on the planet. And when we look over to see what's happening with the sun, it's pretty quiet. Look at that. The KP index is barely over 1. We don't see anything really happening at the moment. In fact, there's an active region here that's very, very quiet. But, again, that could change at any point in time. One thing we do when we do our mantras, it's the typical practice to go through a mantra and then pause and let the vibrations settle into your energy field and wait for a response to come from your guides and from higher self. So the mantras bring you into a frequency where you can receive guidance, impressions, new ideas.
And that might take a little while to occur. I think sometimes people feel, okay, I'm going to sit here and do my mantras and then, wait for something to happen. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes you have to do them continually to bring yourself into that resonance, to be able to hear the other resonating factors that are around you, and then being able to formulate that conversation and understand that conversation and what it means. This is something, it's very beautiful, but it also takes time because there's a blending of energies that needs to occur. There's a certain amount of soul growth needs to happen, and that happens when you're able to quiet the mind. And that goes for meditation too. I think people, they meditate and then they're waiting for, something to show up and they want something to happen. It's like, okay, I'm waiting and I do my meditation, but nothing ever happens. And the key to that is understanding that the magic happens because you did the meditation, and it happens around your life because of the meditation or mantras. So you do the meditation, you do the mantras, and you see how are things falling together in your life. You check your soul. How do I feel right now? Do I feel better? Do I feel relieved? And you just start that conversation, that sacred conversation with yourself and the other energies around you. And it's a process, and everyone can do it. And it's a beautiful process. And because of that process, you can reach certain states of consciousness that sometimes you might not understand, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's look for the synchronicities. And synchronicities can be, as described here, as a coincidence of events that appear meaningfully related but do not seem to be causally connected, taken by Jungian psychoanalytic theory to be evidence of a connection between mind and material objects. Oh, yeah, synchronicities are real. Synchronicities are absolutely real. That's how we know. Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see, Carl Jung. This wasn't one of my favorite classes in school, psychology and all, but I liked Jung. I felt a frequency kinship with some of the things that he was postulating. And so, yeah, absolutely. We do have a collective unconsciousness that binds us all. Again, we are all drops of water in the ocean, the same ocean, each one an individual drop. Think of cells in the body. That's a great analogy. We're all individual cells in the body of something bigger, which is itself an individual cell in the body of something bigger. When we talk about the Schumann resonance and what does it mean? Well, the planet vibrates at a certain frequency. The part they don't tell you is that it vibrates at different frequencies in different yugas. It's all related to the cycles of the yugas. So when we see the Schumann resonance changing, it's a clue that we're going out of one yuga and we're going into another. This is what the significance of the Schumann resonance is, and we've talked so many times about the cycle of the yugas. It's all about the cycle of the yugas. And while that is an intentional thing that is programmed into the matrix that we find ourselves in by the programmer, the creator of this particular universe, there is an AI component that isn't natural. And so that is something that's actually distinct and different from the natural programs. And so that kind of distorts things. So we see, if we look at it as a sine wave, there's a descending period and then ascending. And so, where are we now? Yeah, relatively, we're about where this little arrowhead is pointing. We're just beginning to get into the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age can be viewed as a very, very fun age. It's really an age of most of the myths and legends that we have in our history that are still there, as remembrances of the Golden Age have really been removed for the most part from our memories. But again, we can access those things with a regular practice. One thing we've touched on a couple of times, and many people in music talk about this, is the fact that music, when we talk about the distortion that we run into in a dark age, it's all about distortion. Because again, the control matrix wants to keep you there. And we ebb and we flow. We come down, and you could view it like, okay, you could put together this puzzle with your hands, eyes, everything. And in a dark age, it's like you could put together that puzzle, but you're going to be blindfolded. So you're not going to be able to see the colors. You're not going to be able to see the patterns. You're only going to have to grope around in the dark. That's what we do in a dark age, really. We're groping around in the dark. And it can be disconcerting. But the key is to not panic, quite the opposite. Still yourself. Still yourself. Get out of your own head to a degree. And, again, getting out in nature is one of the things that can aid us the most. And just listen. Learn to truly listen. Unfortunately, most of us can never stop that voice that's always going in our heads. And, I was thinking about this today in meditation, how I'm feeling so good for Cindy and I at the moment. Yes, we took on a house that needs to be completely redone. It's a project and a half, and many people would not even consider it because it's such a project. Yet we feel so incredibly blessed because we're surrounded by ley lines, which are accelerating our healing, and they will accelerate our spiritual evolution. And we're surrounded by these big, beautiful, gorgeous trees, so much nature. Our signal is horrible out here, which is tough when it comes to reaching you guys, but it's a blessing otherwise. Our neighbor was running a tractor this morning cutting the lawn. He shuts it off, and it's like, holy crap, the world is silent. Is everybody dead? Where is everybody? It's just like mind-blowing how quiet it is. And that is a huge blessing. When people are trying to heal, when people are trying to grow spiritually, and you're surrounded by all this chaos, all these frequencies, you might turn off your router at night, but the 20 neighbors within 100 feet of you all have their neighbors, they all have their routers on. You're still being penetrated. It's making it hard for you to connect with yourself, connect with the higher self. It's making it hard for your cells to take the time to heal themselves. So again, we can heal so much quicker when we're out in nature. One of the things that the system has done is it's changed the natural order of even music. And quite a few have caught on to that fact. And so you have Leonard G. Horowitz, DMD, MA, MPH, DNM, internationally known authority on behavioral science, public health, emerging diseases, natural healing, a graduate of Harvard, specializing in media persuasion for his health education, filmmaker, author of 16 books, globally considered to be the most credentialed and accomplished critic of the pharmaceutical cartel. A leading proponent of natural healing, he's been honored as world-leading intellectual by the officials of the World Organization for Natural Medicine, not the WHO, for his revelations in the musical mathematics of creationism that are impacting the fields of metaphysics, creative consciousness, sacred geometry, musicology, natural healing, according to his life's mission to help fulfill humanity's divine destiny to actualize world peace and permaculture sustainability. That's beautiful. So he has pointed out the fact that, when we tune to 440 hertz, we're tuning a distortion. And it'll actually, in fact, lead to quite the opposite of what we can use music to do, which is to soothe us, to bring us peace. You could use music for different things, different types of music. Sometimes you might want it to get you psyched up. I mean, if you're going into some sort of athletic competition in this world, you might use something that's an irritant to get you stimulated. Absolutely. Coffee does its job. And, at the same time, when we stay at this frequency too long, it'll start being too destructive. Just like when we're in there's basically two aspects: the fight or flight, or the rest and digest to the autonomic nervous system. So we're either in a state of healing, or we're in a state of breaking down the system. And the system is our body. So when we're exposed to music that's off-tuned to a frequency that is going to be aggravating, even if it is soothing, intentioned, that can lead to issues, and it might not be as healing as we think. And, again, this was another thing that was taken over by, again, the select families, the power structure during the Dark Age. And when you tune to 440, you could get greater aggression, psychosocial agitation, emotional distress, which will predispose you over time to physical illnesses and the like. So when we tune to 432, we come into a more harmonious natural frequency. And it is interesting when we look at some of our, well-known rock musicians, for instance, a lot of them tune down half a step, which brings you pretty close to 432. Now, some tune specifically to 432. And this is, again, it's because what we're doing is we're coming into harmony with the natural frequencies of the earth.
It's very much like tying yourself into higher self or tying yourself into source. So these energies are more congruent when you're going through life. Sometimes, like, every little thing you do seems difficult, no matter which way you turn, no matter what you do. It's like things just are not working out. And that is a sign that you could be out of alignment. When you are able to meditate and quiet the mind, I kind of look at it like ocean waves or waves on a lake. And it's very difficult to see deep into that water. So when you're doing the meditation, you kind of still those waters, because you want to be able to look deep within your soul and see what needs adjustment, what needs healing. And that's what this is all for. And they've gone to great lengths to distort the ability to get people into alignment. So if you are, with me, I do love all kinds of music, but I've reached a point where if I hear certain music, it physically hurts. If something's too loud, my ears, they just can't handle it anymore. Or if something is of a certain pitch, I mean, it's really like nails on a chalkboard, and I just can't be there. Not that I don't like it, it's just my physical body has reached a point where it's not tolerating it very well any longer, because I have put myself in this quiet place enough times to change my own frequency where my body feels comfortable. So it's like when it hears those things, it's like a jagged knife hitting me, and it just doesn't feel good. But, we all came here to have experiences, so I'm not calling any music bad. I'm just saying that there is a place where we can get ourselves in more alignment, and then there's this other place, if we put ourselves there, it can make things more difficult, because the more you subject yourself to that attunement that is not in alignment, the more your physical body is going to adhere to that, and things just continue to get more difficult. And that's why when you do energy work and you go into alignment, things simply happen easier for you. Certain things change in your life because your song is resonating with that of source and that of the all.
So, I just did a quick search here, guitar tuners, tuned to 432, and you can see there's people that have done videos showing how you could use any tuner to get down to 432, and then there are specific tuners that will tune to any frequency you want to. And, so I have both. I always keep duplicity of both, and I always tune down to 432, which I noticed, because if I ever change the battery in the tuner or something, it'll default to 440, and then it'll show me off. And so, it does make a difference. And there are 50 letters in Sanskrit, 50 correlating sounds in Sanskrit. There are 50 petals on the 6 primary chakras. So again, when we do Sanskrit mantras, again, Sanskrit is a language that goes back to Bronze Age. Now, when we are in silver and in gold ages, we communicate telepathically, and we do communicate telepathically in some of the Bronze Age. Some will communicate telepathically through all the Bronze Age. Again, it's an individual thing. It depends on the person, depends on where you are and what society and all. But again, this language is one that is much more in tune with nature and is it's much more harmonious than, say, English and other languages around the globe that have developed during a dark age. So what this does when we're doing the mantras, It is opening up our chakras. It's bringing our body back into healing and balance. And again, Cindy and I have noticed, because we've worked with thousands of people through energy work, coaching, spiritual guidance, the Vedic astrology charts. The people that develop the practice of utilizing Sanskrit mantras always do much better. They're much more stable. Their practices are just more rooted and grounded, and we don't find all the peaks and valleys typically. Although, yeah, absolutely. In this age, we're all going to be faced with healing crises at one time or another, because we are not only going through our own issues, we're actually healing our DNA lineages, because the DNA, it's not just in the physical body. There's a spiritual DNA too. So again, when we're utilizing the Sanskrit mantras, we're utilizing those sounds. Oh, they're bringing healing not just to the physical body. That's wonderful, and we all could use it. But they're realigning our energy body, and that is so key.
And then I think sometimes people forget that we know we have to do regular cleansing of the 3D body. We need to detox on a regular basis. Well, when we're around a lot of computers, a lot of tablets, we're constantly on our phone, we're watching TV, we're around electrical lines, and we're just surrounded with all these energies. There's a certain way to detox the energy body too, because it too can get very dirty and very yucky. And that's why we do talk about saging as one way to cleanse it and help it purge. Salt baths are another way to help cleanse it and help it purge. Mantras are a way to help regain that stability in our energy body, cleanse it and help it purge. So it's not just about detoxing the 3D body, although when you do detox the 3D body, it does assist the energy body to detox. But there's, a couple different things we need to do while we're here in the 3D to take care of these bodies and receive the information that we came here to receive, and learn the lessons we came here to learn, and experience that growth, because we get to keep that. That is ours. No one can take it away. They're really big into people and the 3D and having things or not having things, but really we have to remember, what do we get to keep? What do we always get to keep? And those are our experiences. Those are the stories of our loved ones. Those are all the ups and downs, emotions, lessons that we learned. Those are very sacred. And if we are detoxing our physical body and our energy body, those are things that are going to be imprinted on us that we get to take with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, mentally, I usually do this to for all the beings that are involved in whatever food we're going to do when we are sitting down to eat. I'll mentally go through and ask that they all be blessed, whether it's whatever plant, vegetable, or whatever is in the food we're going to eat, all those that made it possible. This is a wonderful way to send positive frequencies out into the universe. And I'll give you guys this PDF. There's 4 pages here, and it's just talking about the correlation between the chakra petals, because they're usually viewed as lotus flowers, and the Sanskrit sounds. So when we said Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, some will say it's technically not a mantra, it's a blessing. What's the difference? Well, this one perhaps is, and this is just coming from somewhere, I don't even know where this is coming from, and this is what you end up trusting over time, is that this one might not be perfectly formulated to open the chakras, like say, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, or Om Namah Shivaya, or all the other mantras that have been formulated in a way that they're going to open up our chakras in a particular way. And each sound, again, it does correlate to one of those petals, and it's just fascinating. But this is part of the programming of the universe.
Right. And this is energy that when we say things in this way, think of the word and, God spoke, and this is the frequency and the energy that you're putting yourself in resonance with. This is what you are calling to you.
Absolutely. So again, guys, thanks for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. You can reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts at Gmail for Vedic astrology charts, energy work, ascension help, connecting with loved ones, spirit guides, your own personal guardian angels, so to speak. Much love, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.